Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Gold, joining you on Saturday. What a lovely Saturday morning it is after last night's win at the Emirates. Always nice, isn't it? Winning on a Friday night. Can sit back, relax, have a cup of, have a cup of coffee and enjoy the weekend and hopefully see some of Arsenal's rivals drop some points between now and Sunday evening. Really good performance last night. I said it on the video after the game in my ratings video. I think it was Arsenal's best performance of the season. I think just about beat Tottenham for me, mainly because of the kind of longevity. I think Tottenham they were fantastic for 45 minutes, Arsenal, in the Spurs game. Dropped off a little bit after that, but I thought yesterday they certainly continued it up to around sort of 75, 80 minutes when Villa got that goal back. I just think it was a really, really top performance from Arsenal when they really needed after those successive draws. People were beginning to sharpen those knives again for Mikel Arteta. There's plenty of criticism coming his way, especially after the Palace game, which I thought was a really worrying performance, that one against Palace. So he needed a result last night and he needed a performance, and he's got both. Arsenal 6 unbeaten in the Premier League now, 7 unbeaten in all competitions. So despite all the negativity which always surrounds Arsenal, they're on a nice little run, and they're beginning to score goals as well. You look back in the last 3 home games in the Premier League, they've scored 8 goals. Which is pretty nice. Conceded 4, so you kind of wish they weren't conceding those goals as much. They need to tighten up a little bit at the back, although yesterday's one, it was one of those, I think Thomas Partey could have done better. He sort of bottled out the challenge a little bit on the edge of the box before it reached Jacob Murphy, but after that it was a fantastic finish from Murphy. There's not much you can do about the actual finish itself. Maybe stop the ball getting to him in the first place, but that's just nitpicking. No need to be overly negative or anything like that after last night's result, because it was a really, really top performance, a really enjoyable night at the Emirates, and understandably everyone was very, very happy after the game, including the manager. Mikel was asked in his press conference, was that kind of the blueprint of how you want your Arsenal side to play? And he said yes, very close to it. What I liked the most was the way the team reacted from Monday evening, how we finished the game and how they were in the dressing room after that, accepting it wasn't good enough. That we played in a good level in some parts, but other level that was unacceptable in others. We are the youngest team in the league, but that's not an excuse. We cannot change the age. We cannot find excuses. We have to find out why those things happen in the game, find the right solutions and put them right. And I believe they can play at that level because they can. Well, they certainly showed yesterday they can play at that level. They certainly showed against Tottenham that they can play at that level. It's just all about finding consistency. And I suppose when you have got a young team, as Mikel Arteta says, they're the youngest team in the league, there is going to be inconsistency. And so you are going to get dips in performance. You are going to get results and performances like the one we saw certainly at Brighton. I did think the one against Palace was slightly more worrying for me, that performance, but hopefully it can just be an off night. And again, like the Brighton game, it was a game where they didn't play well, but they did manage to get something out of it. So if you can get into that habit of getting something out of games when you don't play well, then that's not a bad habit to be in, and then take advantage when you do play well, just as they did last night. It moves Arsenal back into the top of the table for now. Obviously, you've got results that are going to come over the next 48 hours or so that might well change that, but still a nice position, or a nicer position to be in. Just frustrating those drop points. If you'd beaten Palace on Monday night, Arsenal would be sitting in the top 4 right now, which would look very nice indeed. But they're not far off it. And when you consider the start to their season that Arsenal had, those first 3 games, to be where they are now, it's not the worst position to be in. They're clawing themselves back, which is what they needed to do after those 3 games. And they've done it. They're unbeaten since the transfer window shut. And hopefully we can see more performances like we saw last night, because it was really, really good. There were so many good performances. I mean, Emile Smith Rowe was fantastic. He got man of the match. So many other players could have sort of put their hand up, sort of competing for that award, because there were plenty. I thought Thomas Partey was fantastic. Sambi Lokonga was absolutely superb. I thought Nuno Tavares, what a performance from Nuno coming in for the injured Kieran. Tierney. Tomiyasu was great. Lacazette was just brilliant from the start. His pressing, his work rate, absolutely off the charts. He really set the tone, I thought, in that first half performance when Arsenal were just so far above Aston Villa. It was scary. I think they had 12 shots in that first half. Villa had none. That was how dominant they were. And getting that penalty right at the end of that half, making it 2-0, was so important, I think, because you go in at 1-0, you'd be a little bit deflated. Such was the level of dominance. Certainly if you go in at 1-0 and having had the penalty saved, say if Aubameyang hadn't scored the rebound, then that could have been a major point in the game, because suddenly Villa will go into that half-time feeling pretty buoyant, considering the situation, when Arsenal probably feeling pretty downbeat. So I think Aubameyang getting the follow-up to that penalty was so important. Lots of talk after the game about Smith Rowe, understandably. Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher waxing lyrical about him, and Bukayo Saka as well. And it's 3 goals in 5 games now for Smith Rowe for Arsenal. He's got 2 assists in that time as well, against Spurs and 1 last night. He scored for England under 21s during that period as well. So I think one of the criticism you could level at Emile was that he didn't have, certainly last season when he was good positions, he didn't really have the end product. It looks like he's beginning to find that end product now. 3 goals in 5 games is not too bad, especially with 2 assists thrown in there and an international goal as well. And I asked Mikel about it after the game, and this is what he had to say. He said that should be a habit and we should demand that in his game, because he's capable of doing it. I'm pleased he's developing that. He still needs to develop more in other areas. The other night he wasn't 100% fit, but he made a step forward and wanted to play with a difficult injury that he had. He wasn't complaining. He was just looking forward. He's changed his way of living a little bit and some habits that he's had, and he's been superb. I then asked, was it a perfect example of that performance? Why Arsenal were just laughing off those bids for Aston Villa in the summer for Smith Rowe, and he said it's a perfect example of why we want to keep him and why we are giving him the opportunity to do what he can for our club, and we are happy for him. So Smith Rowe, certainly not for the first time, has made himself a bit of the star of this Arsenal team after that performance. And I think they're very, very lucky to have a player like him come through. And it's just proud, isn't it? You saw the celebrations afterwards, grabbing the badge. It was certainly the added narrative of it being against Aston Villa, who clearly tried to sign him in the summer. It was, I just love watching him play. Carragher said after the game that he's his favourite player to watch running with the ball in the whole Premier League. And he is. And Neville said you watch him play and you just enjoy watching him play, because he just seems like, I think it's the socks rolled down, barely any shin pads there. He just looks properly old school, doesn't he, Smith Rowe? Just gets the ball, drives forward. Just an exceptional talent. He's so young as well. You just wonder how good, if he can stay injury free and keep on developing, just how good he is going to be. Interesting that it was 4-4-2 last night. I thought we've seen him toy around with a few formations. It's kind of been floating between the 4-2-3-1 and 4-3-3. To go 4-4-2 was a pretty bold move yesterday, pairing Lacazette and Aubameyang together, and it certainly worked. I mean, Saka and Smith Rowe were great on the wings. Partey and Sambi absolutely bossed that midfield, and Lacazette and Aubameyang linked up really, really well. And Villa just couldn't handle it. It was just top performances around. The centre-backs for Arsenal, great. Ramsdale was superb. Full-backs, brilliant. And Mikel was asked about if he's found the perfect formation now with this 4-4-2. He said, we were trying a formation against what we thought they were going to do, what we believe we could work. Then it was down to the players to execute it, and they did that really well. I wouldn't say that Arsenal are now going to be a straight 4-4-2 sort of side every single week. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think we'll see Mikel switching between things as well, but it's certainly another good option for him, and it's one that looks like it could get the best out of both Lacazette and Aubameyang playing together. And the way Lacazette's playing at the moment, you really do need to get him in the side, because he's looking very, very good. Not just in terms of being a goal threat, but just all around and setting the tone with his work rate, because he did that yesterday. It was really, really impressive. In terms of some injuries, what the latest is, we saw both strikers limp off yesterday. Arteta didn't seem too concerned about those injuries, which is a good thing for those two. He said that Aubameyang was just cramping, and Lacazette, I did ask him about Lacazette, what did he say? He said Lacazette was just fatigued, he hasn't played that many minutes, he worked so hard, and at some stage he just said, I've had enough, and he was cramping, and he did look in a little bit of discomfort, Lacazette, as he made his way off the pitch. Not surprised, as Mikel said, given he hasn't played much minutes this season, and the way he put himself about last night, because he did not stop working. Certainly that old cliche of running himself into the ground, that's what he seemed to do last night, Lacazette. So it doesn't seem too much to worry about. I can't imagine either of those two will play in midweek anyway against Leeds in the Cup. You'll probably see, Eddie Nketiah, Martinelli, those players will get a chance on Tuesday night. So Aubameyang and Lacazette will get a night off. Maybe they'll be on the bench, but I don't think they'll be starting. So they'll get a little bit of rest and recuperation before the game next weekend. In terms of Kieran Tierney, little bit more worrying. No real timescale on his return. He said, we don't know how long he's going to be out. He could not carry on the other day and he wasn't available to play. But given Nuno Tavares' performance yesterday, Arsenal didn't really end up missing Tierney because Tavares played so well. I was a little bit worried when I saw him in the line-out. I think he's been good. I thought he was great against Wimbledon in the Cup, but this was another level, wasn't it? Playing in the Premier League. And you know Tavares, he's very good going forward, but defensively still to be really tested. And I thought this could be a bit of a worry against the counter-attacking Aston Villa side, but he was absolutely fantastic and made sure that Arsenal didn't miss Kieran Tierney. And if Tierney is out for a couple of weeks now, you kind of feel a lot more comfortable with Tavares there than you did last season when they didn't really have any sort of natural backup for Kieran Tierney. Okay, before I go, I'm just going to run through my ratings again from last night. I did do it at the game, but I'll run through it very quickly, and I want to change one as well because I think I was a little bit harsh on Aaron Ramsdale. I only gave him a 7. I think sometimes doing him straight after the game, you don't really have time to think about it too much. And I just gave Ramsdale 7 because he didn't have too much to do in terms of actual making saves. He did make a couple of really good ones. One from Buendia, especially at the start of the second half, was really important. It was only 2-0 at that point. But his kicking, his distribution was fantastic. Those passes he was just spraying out constantly was so impressive. I didn't really take them into account when I was giving my ratings. So Ramsdale is definitely getting an 8 for me last night. Just continues to have such a fantastic start to his Arsenal career, an absolute breath of fresh air. So he definitely gets an 8 for me. All my fullbacks I am giving an 8 to. For me, in fact, I'm going to give Nuno a 9. I'm probably changing this. I can't even remember what I gave these players yesterday, but this is a new day, a new lighter day, and I'm going to change mine. I'm going to give all 4. I thought Ben White was his best performance in Arsenal shirt. That run out from the back was fantastic in the start. Made one brilliant block in the second half to deny Ings. He was really good. I'm going to give Tomiyasu, White and Gabriel, I'm giving an 8. I'm giving Nuno Tavares 9 because he was just superb, especially in that first half. Did not stop working. Pace caused Villa so many problems. He was just really on the front foot from the start and didn't really put a foot wrong, so he's going to get a 9. Sambi and Thomas Partey I thought were great in midfield. I'm going to give Sambi a 9. I'm going to give Thomas Partey an 8. Great to see him get his first goal. So typical as a header after all those shots that he's had trying to do it. So Sambi 9, Partey 8, Smith Rowe 9. He's my man of the match last night. I thought it was great. Scored 1, made 1. Bukayo Saka gets an 8 from me. Aubameyang gets an 8 from me, and Lacazette gets a 9 as well. Thought it was really good, Lacazette, last night. But Emile Smith Rowe walks away with the Charles Watts Man of the Match award, which I'm sure he'll be really proud about. And that's about it. So yeah, nice happy video. What more could you want at the start of a weekend? So enjoy the rest of your weekend, everyone. Sit back, have a coffee, have a beer. Do what you want, enjoy the rest of the football. Let's hope that Tottenham lose, everyone else loses, and it becomes the perfect weekend for Arsenal. So have a good day, everyone. Speak to you soon.